Hi, this is Tania Johnson from the Institute of Child Psychology. We're so excited to have Jennifer Kolari with us today. Welcome, Jennifer.
Thank you.
I'm so excited to interview you on your book today. I think I'm going to start with a brief introduction and then we'll just jump right into the book.
Okay.
So Jennifer Kolari is one of our leading parent experts. She is a highly sought after international speaker and the founder of Connected Parenting, a child and family therapist with a busy private practice out of Toronto and San Diego. Kolari is the author of Connected Parenting, How to Raise a Great Kid, and also the book that we're going to be talking about today, You're Ruining My Life, But Not Really, Surviving the Teenage Years with Connected Parenting. Jennifer is a frequent guest on many morning national shows, and her advice can be found in many Canadian and US magazines. Here she is. So this is the book that we're going to be talking about today. Jennifer, right now my two little girls are toddlers. I was a foster mom for 4 years to teenage kids. So I think that
teens.
Yeah, I know teens. This would have come in handy for me at that point. Could you tell me a little bit about why you chose the teenage years?
Yes. Well, my first book was about the connected parenting method, just in general, with kids kind of all ages. And I realized that the teenagers are really very special. They're really hard. And that a lot of parents that I was working with, they would literally say that their child changed into a teenager overnight. Like one day they wanted their advice and were sitting on their laps and wanted attention and telling you stories. And the next day it's like, oh, and they slam the door. And it's devastating. It's a really hard thing. And so part of it is understanding what's going on in a teenager's brain, what's the neuroscience behind what they're going through, what's very unique and specific about being a teenager today, although that book I think is 10 years old now. So we'll update it in today's conversation. And then how not to take everything personally, because it can feel so personal when your teenager is really struggling. And it's like they go inward and drop all their leaves and just kind of retreat from everything. They're embarrassed by everything, and then they come out and they emerge. But those years where they're turning inward can be really difficult. They really can.
And I think that's a big one. I often hear that from parents is I think that it triggers some of our own shock music. So we end up often reacting instead of responding and being able to listen with an open heart.
Yes, absolutely. Yeah. Absolutely. And it's very, humans are messy and teenagers are messier. So there you go.
Yeah. When you've spoken to parents, Jennifer, what have they said to you about the book? So what was the most helpful thing for them?
I think probably that love and parenting from a place of love, not fear, is really what guides you. And so much of our parenting, we don't even realize it, is fear-based, right? Don't do that. You got to study because you have to get a good mark. And what do you mean you're going with that person? And there's this kind of intense fear all the time when we respond, especially to our teenagers, which is exhausting and hard to live with for the teenager and for us. And whenever you're operating from that place of fear, it's not going to be a good guide for you. You're not going to be saying the best things. You're not going to be reacting, and you're going to be reacting instead of responding, basically. And so when you line up with love, which means true compassion, which means transcending what your teenager is saying to you and your own feelings about what that is and where those triggers, and lining up with what's best for them in that moment. And that might be saying, no, you can't go to that party. But when you do it from a place of love, it's going to be received in a very, very different way from your teen.
And that fear, Jennifer, where do you think it comes from? Do you think it is that shock music we were talking about earlier? Yes. What is it?
Yeah, I think it's a lot of different things. I think it's our own, shock music. It's our own trauma, sometimes how we were parented. I think we live in a very fear-based world, and more so even now in the last 6 months as we struggle with COVID and a lot of the major changes that are happening in the world. But even before that, it was very fear-based, right? You were just always afraid of everything all the time, and transferring that to our children. And teenagers, their brains are different. They are wired differently. Their brain is wired differently for fear. Their brain, just based on the stage that they're at neurodevelopmentally, they downgrade fear all the time. That won't happen to me. It might happen to them. It's not going to happen to me. And they truly believe that. And if we think back to being 14 or 15, I think we believe that too. And I think there's a lot of purpose for that. Teenagers have to go out and try new things, and they have to figure out who they are, and they have to figure out who they are separate from their parents, and they have to leave the home biologically. 13, 14, 15, they're already biologically ready to have their own lives and have children. They're not emotionally ready, not even close. So teenagers have to, be in a place of non-fear in order to start their lives. And they also have to be kind of angry and detached in some ways from the people who love them so that they can leave, which makes it so complicated. So that it's a complex answer to that. And I think there's many, many, many layers to it. I think we've also been, there's a lot of fear-based messaging around your kids and around what the world is like and how dangerous it is out there. And we absorb that and we feel that and we transfer that to our kids. And we don't manage our own fear very well. We really don't.
Yeah, I think that there's such a big difference between when we first visualize having teens, like as a mom of toddlers now, and I go, this is the type of mom I want to be when I have teenagers. And then when you're actually in the throes of it. So when you talk about those teenagers, I almost imagine fire being lit underneath them. There's just this passion to launch into the world. I think very often the type of parent we dream we're going to be, and then the type of parent we are in the actual situation, unfortunately, often feel really far apart from one another.
Yeah, that can happen. And the other thing I want to add to that is so many parents are so well read and they are very tuned in and they know themselves. And there's all kinds of beautiful messaging around parenting and knowing your triggers and all of this. So it almost makes it, I'm not going to say worse, but in a way it does, because you know all these things, you know the way that you should be responding. And biologically, when you get triggered and you get angry or you become afraid, you're going to parent from that place of fear, even terror sometimes. And that's going to make you very far apart from who you want to be in that moment. And humans only have two emotions, love and fear. That's it. Everything else, like anger and resentment and door slamming and jealousy and gossip and bitterness and all of that, it's all fear. All of it is fear, right? But we don't recognize that. We don't know that we're walking around afraid. We think we're parenting our children in these ways that are important for them. And it's not, and that obviously means saying no sometimes and having really strong rules and containment. Teenagers need that. But when it's coming from a place of anger, which is fear, it's just going to get so ugly. It can get so difficult. And that's where the real pain kind of bubbles up in both the parent and the child.
I think, Jennifer, what I love is when we're able to look at it as this is love and fear, and they're coming from very real places. And then in your book, we won't give too much of it away, but there's beautiful tools on how to work with those feelings. What I love about that is that then we don't spend years trying to repair after the teenage years. We can actually move with our children or with our teens and actually be present with them and experience some of the joy that comes with that love.
Yes, absolutely. Because they're funny and they're feisty and they have their own opinions and you can have conversations with them, and their independence, although scary at first, is such a beautiful thing to celebrate. And what I love about what you just said, and what I'm probably most proud of with connected parenting, is you can repair as you're going, right? So you have a conversation, you blow it. It was a mess, right? And an hour later, 2 hours later, a week later, you go back and using the tools that I really kind of dive into in the book, you can use those tools to repair in the moment. So it's a constant flow of like getting it right, blowing it, fixing it, getting it right, blowing it, fixing it. And that's the rhythm, right?
Which is really all about being human. And our kids don't need us to be perfect parents. They just need us to be vulnerable and open and honest.
Yes, absolutely.
Yeah. Which is so scary, it's crazy. These are our kids, but it's so scary to actually be that person sometimes with our children.
It is. It's scary to be that person in general, but that's really where our power lies, right? Not being afraid and standing in our emotions and owning them in that moment and recognizing them. Is the path to freedom, and learning how to control what you're thinking and what you're thinking about, what you're focused on is truly the key to you'll never control conditions, and you will never control your teenager. You may try, but their job is to not let you, essentially. I mean, the big things around safety, yes.
Yeah.
How they want to dress and what they want to watch and what they want to listen to and who they're talking to and how late they want to stay up. All of these things are things that if you think you're going to be able to control all those things, you're not.
Yeah.
And it's sort of understanding that in life we can't control conditions. We can't. The only thing we ever have control over is our response to the conditions, and that's what we want to teach our kids. That builds resilience.
Yes,
right?
And in doing so, we teach them how to be human beings in the workplace one day, or with their own partner if they choose to have a partner one day. It's really, as you said, how do we stay rooted in who we are and how we respond to our world?
Yeah, we have to teach our children this, because the world is changing so much, and we are literally, this generation of teenagers are hopefully going to be the ones that get us out of this mess, or at least move to get us out of this mess that we're in. So it's our job to teach them to tune into who they are, to help them understand when they're thinking in a fear-based way versus a love-based way, to transcend their own biases and learn how to have a conversation, not a confrontation. That's the only thing that's going to get us to a better place, I think.
Yeah. What beautiful skills to give our teens during those years. It's just, we raise a whole different generation.
Yeah, absolutely. And our little kids too. So even if you have teenagers and you have younger kids, be thinking about all of this now. Get good at this now, because if you don't have a teenager, you will. Right.
Yeah, and I think that's probably one of my last questions for our interview today is, as a therapist myself, one of the things that I sometimes will have parents say to me is that those early years were tough with their kids for whatever reasons, and they don't feel like they've built those relational credits. So how do they possibly start in those teen years when there's so much shifting? What would be your response to that be, Jennifer?
So my response is, it is never too late. I don't care if your kids are 30. Like you can move to this new way of this kind of centered, loving approach where you're responding to your kids instead of reacting, seeing them as whole and human anytime. So it doesn't matter really you can always repair is the point. And I want people to hear that. It's so important. You can decide tomorrow to approach things in a different way. And the connected parenting model, it's not just for parenting. Like, this will work on your aging parents. It will work on your siblings. It will work on colleagues and coworkers. This is really a way of being. It's a philosophy, and it's learning to use compassion and love and language as medicine, right? The most powerful medicine. Brain food, emotional nutrition. Next to food and water, there's nothing more important. Nothing. This is what's going to give them the tools to go out into the world and be really good people.
Oh yeah, Jennifer, that just fills my heart so much. Yeah, that's so beautiful. Yeah, I think that's a beautiful space for us to leave it, just that it doesn't matter what age our kids are at, what age we're at, that we can always heal our relationships, not just with others, but also with ourselves. Yeah. Thank you so much for your time.
You're welcome.
I got my copy off Amazon. Jennifer, I'm guessing that we can get it off your website too.
Yes.
Yeah. Okay. So when we do post the book interview, we will post links to Jennifer's website and where you can purchase the book. Thank you so much.
You're welcome. Thank you.
Bye.